when we reflect on our life, there's an element of wonder, I think, that comes up as to how are we so different? Why is it that you and I, are so different from everybody else? There's, I guess, could be said, there's no one has ever been the same as you, and there never possibly will be. And that uniqueness is quite amazing. So let's just maybe reflect on that for a little bit in the context of the values that drive us. This is a place where those who suspect they're innately wise, brilliant and powerful come to learn how to transform their lives, one cognition, one realization, and one blinding flash of the obvious at a time. We are the innovators, the record breakers, the world makers and creators of all kinds. We supersede the suppressive worldview of mass ignorance and awaken the strength within. We are waking up to our innate secrets. My name is Dr. Mark Postles, and welcome to the Innate Secrets podcast. So we all do values, and there are many ways in which values have been laid down and installed, and I would suggest that every single moment of our life has been a part of contributing to the values that we have and the things that are more important to us, as we have described previously, based on something that we feel like we missed out on. So in other words, the values are driven by the voids that we've experienced in our life and the things we've perceived that we haven't got. So we have a hierarchy of values, and they're the filters that we do our life through. They're what we see everything through. So in other words, our values are our projection onto the world in terms of the world comes through those values, and that's how we interpret it. So this is, I think, an important thing to get, because we can then understand, well, why two or three or four people see the same thing very differently and have a different interpretation around it. So within that, then, we want to look at one phenomenon today, which is that of core values. So, if you like, we have a myriad of values that we do, and there is a hierarchy, so that the most important are at the top and the least important are down the bottom. And so we will always reference the most important, and we tend to sort our life through that. So that dictates what we do with our life in terms of how we dress our body, how we feed it, how we nurture it, how we relate to other people, how we apply ourselves in our professional capacities or our work capacities. Every aspect of our life is driven by values, and they're things we've taken on board to be true, and or at least that we've taken on board to keep us safe. And so we have this hierarchy, and then within the hierarchy then are the top ones. So let's consider the top sort of 10 or 12 values, which could be called the core values. They're the ones we come back to all the time. There are primary references. And what we find within the innate model is that the preference of the quadrants, the preference of the neurological firing of our brain is determined by the values. It's determined by those which we feel to be or think. And it's probably actually feel, because it's more, we don't actually rationalize this out. We can, but we don't normally rationalize it out. We normally just go for the feeling. It's an instinctive thing. And so those things then just drive us. Those ones that are top of mind, and our major filters in our brain are just firing away, giving us our reality. So the core values then are at the top. Then to give some idea around this, values are a composite too. So there's a number of different words that might represent that, and words aren't necessarily a really good reflection of reality, but they're our, the way we can sort of stumble through life and in some way get our meaning across. So it might be useful to use multiple words as values rather than just one or two. So, and sometimes one or two will cut it. So, considering that, then I just want to go through maybe the values for an organisation like the innate model. And so there are certain values that we hold, and these are filters for anyone who's involved within the innate model, be it at a production level, be it a coaching level, consulting level, be it teaching. Anyone who subscribes to the innate model subscribes to this value hierarchy or these values. So let's go through them with you. And as we do, consider what yours are or what your place of businesses are. What is the ethos, the values hierarchy that you're working in with your team or in your workplace and your business. So one of the key things within the innate model is that we have all parts, and this is a value that we recognize that people aren't broken. There's nothing to be fixed. There's nothing to be reorganized or replaced. That we have all parts. Everything is there in the right way, at the right place, in the right time, and we therefore will work with people in a position that they're in rather than a position that we think they should be in by fixing or treating things. We're saying, no, look, you are complete and whole just as you are. So let's work with that. The next value that's very, very high on our list would be fun-filled transformational shifts. So whilst we want to see people having the experience of transforming and shifting in that context, the method's got to be fun-filled. And one of our overriding policies is workers play with a purpose. So, we want to make sure that we play in everything we do. It's a process of inquiry and being inquisitive and curious, and it's a fun thing to do. So work is not drudgery, and it's not sort of something you do until you can go out and play. Work is play, and so that's our second core value. The third one is inspirational connection. Because we believe that there's inspiration in every connection, that every single time we meet with another person, with an object or even a subject that's something that's within our life, there's room for inspiration, there's room to learn, there's room to grow, there's room to be inspired and to inspire. The fourth one is that we work with a myriad of thriving people. So we see people as being wealthy and beautiful and gorgeous and able to live their lives in magnificent ways. So and there are just trillions of thriving people on this planet, and everyone has this possibility to thrive. They may not be exercising it. They may be doing it in ways which could mean struggle for them, but nevertheless, they're thriving, and they have this beauty within that's able to come out and play and live a life that is thriving. So there's no limits within human beings. So as long as we're alive, we have this innate wisdom that oozes forth. Another core value that we hold is being courageously curious, and sometimes it does take courage to be curious. Curious is a very high state of wonder, and it's interesting because it's a state also of confusion. So when we're in a curious state, we're in a state of unknowing, of not knowing, and it's just the opposite of being certain. So to take on a curious state is a state of, I wonder how that would be. And that's our quadrant 1 state. So it allows us to enter into asking questions which might be considered to be naive or stupid or ridiculous. And it's allowing ourselves to be curious about life. And that's really where the juice is. That's really where the learning is. if we can put ourselves in that position where we're quite vulnerable, and we will ask from a state of curiosity without judgment. The next core value that we find is really important is to lovingly support and challenge. And we put support and challenge together. And when we bring that together with love, it's about not supporting to enfeeble and not to challenge to take down a breakdown. It's about support and challenge in equal amounts, or the appropriate amounts. Sometimes more support and less challenge, and other times less support and more challenge. So it's allowing ourselves to be in this beautiful state of love and lovingly doing this support and challenge at the same time, or in a time context which is appropriate. So the next one, which is number 7, is a vitalistic perspective on life. So in other words, we see that life is self-organizing, self-regulating. It knows what it's doing, it's aware, it has communication, and life is seen from that perspective. And so all living systems have this within them, and not just human beings or the higher cognitive areas of life. It's life right down to amoebas and spirochetes and the little fellows that run around in our life. They're all part of this magnificent tapestry called life. And the last thing that's really important to us within the innate model is based on this curiosity and the willingness to transform, and that's consistent and predictable results. We're always looking for what's consistent, what are the patterns. So it's not so much about the details, it's more about what are the patterns here that produce results. What are the things that human beings do or think or are on a regular basis in a certain way that produces a certain result. And we often have results in front of us that we haven't looked at the pattern of, and when we do, we can then start to duplicate those results, and so they can be consistent, and those results can be incredible, they can be amazing, and we may have gone into them at some time in some way, but we haven't recognized the pattern. And as soon as you recognize the pattern, then we can duplicate it, then we can start to make it consistent, and life takes on a whole new meaning. So the essence of these core values then is our true north. It's like what we say within the innate model is like, okay, we're here to be an instrument of change, and I won't go into the details of this in terms of who we're there to serve and who our avatars are and so forth, which we will cover. But we look at, we're here to serve as a group, and we resonate with these values, these core values. We also resonate with many, many, many other values, and we also have our own personal values, which have to be able to be subscribed or to agree to the core values of the business. So if you consider this, that you've got your own set of values, everyone else around you has their own set of values, which could be different to yours. And then you work in a place or you have an interest in producing something that is amazing with a group of other people who have their values. So, it's really about making sure that you've got the synergy there with others by establishing what the core values are of the group. So, if you're in a group, you're in a team, you're in a relationship, you're in a business or practice, look at what it is that you're all resonating with in the way of the core values, and spend some time to get together and come to an agreement about the core values that you have in common. That is the essence of this business or this relationship. And just notice how you go to the next level as a group, when you do this. So Until next time, I'm Mark Postles, and have an amazing day filled with wonder and curiosity around how your values create your filters, and that's your perspective on life. Let us show you how to fire your brain in ways that serve you so that you can be confident, connected, and bring joy and passion into what you do every day. Get a free copy of my book, The Innate Model. Go to theinnatemodel.com/free book.